Currie, you're on 4 minutes?
4 minutes, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Minister, and thank you for the commitments you've made to tackling domestic, sexual and gender-based violence. I think you're going to leave your mark here, and I appreciate your style, which is less about the promises and more about delivering, and that's certainly needed here. And I want to recognise the work of former Minister Frances Fitzgerald in this field as well. In your short time, you've secured greater use of live video links and remote hearings, launched awareness campaigns and secured additional COVID funding. You've launched a plan to help victims and vulnerable witnesses in sexual violence cases. Supporting a victim's journey is a comprehensive roadmap for implementing the O'Malley recommendations to support and protect witnesses during the investigation and prosecution of sexual offences. It is fitting that this debate is happening on the eve of the UN International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women and the 16 days of activism running up to Human Rights Day, and during what has been a horrendous time for sufferers of domestic abuse throughout the pandemic, with a 25% increase in domestic violence calls to Gardaí alone. Your most encouraging commitment is to a truly joined-up approach across government agencies and mapping a victim's journey with review of grant schemes and organisations that work with victims. But I think a joined-up approach is needed across a woman's and a girl's life too, at every age, stage and circumstance. What behaviour is impacting her and how do we prevent it? What messages of support are reaching her and how do we encourage it? We need to support her every step of the way and show society at every step of the way what is respect, what is consent and therefore what is not. And the role of men is every bit just as important. This is a societal problem, not a female one. The silent epidemic has moved to the shadows, but the threat of domestic, sexual and gender-based violence needs to be acknowledged all the time, not just during a pandemic. And having the still here messaging, for instance, on the till receipts, for me sums it up. It was just such a powerful way of telling women in a safe space that we are there for you if you need it. And I think that is the kind of messaging that we need to be providing. And we must deliver on that and build a culture and an infrastructure around it. For me, you talked about the word empowerment, and I think that's showing that there is support when they need it is the most important message. We do need more long-term recurring funding for shelters and outreach services in communities and schools, helplines, digital services, awareness campaigns and a constant presence. And I have work to do myself with local organisations to see how I can channel their work into you. Some of the organisations have asked for clarity before today on the amount of additional ring-fenced funding across departments. I want to thank our frontline workers in domestic violence and the many donors and organisations such as Safe Ireland, Women's Aid, Men's Aid and the local refuges that have helped people cope. And I want to recognise the work of the Gardaí and the completion of the national rollout of the protective services units. We've seen the power of collecting data over the last few months, and we must continue to do that. And of course, work on our education system at every step in an age-appropriate way to address the issue of consent. Thank you.